It's time to kick up your life with Master Mel.
You could be the hero, you could get the gold. Breaking all the records you thought never could be broke.
Learn how to optimize your business and your life with Master Melodee Meyer. As she speaks with thought leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and high achievers to discover their secrets of success. Master Mel uses her experience in martial arts, nutrition, fitness, and psychology to help you kick it up to the next level of mastery in your life. And now, here's your host, Master Mel.
All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited for this episode of Kick Up Your Life because I have a very special guest. Actually, I don't know if she knows, she is one of my heroes. She's the one that really got me interested in martial arts as a business because I saw her as a young 20-something really in the martial arts business, and I thought, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. And I followed her around, and I did whatever she said to do, and I have a successful business because of it. So I really want to thank her, and I'm proud to have her on this show today. We have today Melodee Shuman. She's also known as Master Melodee.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having
me. Now, Melodee has over 20 years of experience in researching childhood development as it relates to sports coaching and parenting. And through the years, she has redefined the children's martial arts market.
Give it a sec. She'll be back. There she is.
Okay.
You froze up a second there, Mel.
Oh, and maybe you've missed what I've said?
Yeah, a little bit, about the last 30 seconds.
Okay. I'm going to introduce Melodee again. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about her so you know who we're going to be talking to today. Melodee has over 20 years of experience researching childhood development as it relates to sports, coaching, and parenting. Through the years, she's redefined the children's martial arts market and innovative age-specific curriculums and drills known as skills, which are currently operating in over 100, hundreds probably, martial arts schools around the world. We'll ask her about that. And these, she's a successful entrepreneur and a master martial arts instructor that teaches other master martial arts instructors and school owners her systems of success. She has had a school of her own. I just got some news today. She'll talk a little bit about that. She's in Petersburg, Florida. And what we're going to talk about today is really about how these things that she has discovered about the brain, about how we learn, how we deal with children, how we can apply that not only to the kids in our lives, but to, I don't know, maybe. So welcome, Melodee. Thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to speak with you today.
So we are on the radio, and we are also on video here with Crowdcast. And it's really fun because I get to see you while I talk to you. We don't get to see each other a lot. We get to see each other at events once in a while. And then we can email and stuff. But this is kind of fun.
Yeah, this is fun. I actually had to do my hair.
So let's go back to you. You know, you're a martial artist. You've owned a martial arts school for how many years now?
I started owning a school when I was 19 years old, and I'm 40 now. And I actually am in the process of selling my existing school to one of my best friends, my vice president, Andrew Arkinas. And it's an exciting transformation because right now, Skills is blowing up, as you mentioned. We're going to be 300 schools by the end of the year. And I'm also working on my personal brand. So as Gary Vee told me at a convention a couple weeks ago, he said I need to triple down on my assets. And as much as I love running my martial arts school, my personal brand, and expanding globally in the global market versus just in the St. Petersburg market is my lifetime dream. So that the process, the transition I'm in right now, it's bittersweet to say the least, because being at the school and watching my kids in action, my heart always wants to be there, but at the same time, I know where my aspirations are.
Wow, we're already getting the nuggets thrown at us right now. We're learning. Tripling down on your assets. That's a good one.
Yes.
Where you're working with what's working already and expanding that rather than trying to always drum up something new.
Yes.
For us quick starts, that's challenging.
Yes.
Cool. So why don't you tell us how there's not a lot of women in martial arts, and I did just interview Cynthia Rothrock last week, which was a lot of fun. But many people aren't exposed to a lot of women in the martial arts and don't think of them that unless they see them on an MMA fight or something. How is it that you got involved in martial arts in the first place?
If you don't know me or have never met me, I'm 40 years old, but I'm 5'0" and I've never weighed 100 pounds in my life. I can't even donate blood. So I'm just very, very petite. And growing up in New Orleans and being very, very small for your age and going to an all-girl Catholic school, it wasn't the coolest person in my grade. As a matter of fact, walking into 5th grade at a new school, I remember the cool girls in class saying, "Who let the kindergartner in our class today?" So let's just say that I wanted to stand out a little bit, and I had a little bit of an attitude, and maybe my parents put me in martial arts to help teach me some discipline. And at first, I hated martial arts. I thought it was hokey, and I thought it was really silly that we had to yell and wear these cheesy white outfits. And we trained with adults in the same class, so these big sweaty men next to me used to gross me out. And it wasn't until I put sparring gear on for the first time and kicked a boy in the head really hard. Not only did it feel good to kick him in the head, but everybody was cheering for me. So I was like, this is awesome. You get to beat boys up and everybody cheers you on. I love this sport.
How old were you at the
I
time?
was 11. 11 years old. So I loved it from there. And it wasn't the coolest sport in the world. So when I went into high school, I dropped out for a little bit because kids used to pick on me for being in martial arts. So I did the soccer thing for a while. And ironically enough, martial arts came calling back to me because I got a job, my first job, because I was a black belt. Disney hired me. I'm not supposed to say on media things specifically what I did, but let's just say I had a really cool job at Disney, and being a black belt helped me get that job. So I got back into martial arts just because I missed it, and I never looked back on it. Here it is. It's a lifestyle. It's not just a sport or hobby that I do.
Well, it's interesting though that doing martial arts and actually being a martial artist is completely different than being a martial arts school owner. That's a completely different skill set. It's a completely different job. I know a lot of people get into the martial arts business because they love martial arts and they love being a martial artist. So they think, well, I just want to make a living doing this. But actually running a successful business, whole other thing. What was it that made you decide that you wanted to go into it as a business?
Well, I was a program director at a very successful school at the time, and I just kind of felt the way that the programs were ran at the school, they were good and they worked, but it wasn't very rewarding for me. I was a 19-year-old girl at the time, and I felt like a lot of the things that we did were really cheesy for preteens. So, I did my own school and I ran my school differently, and it's paid off. It was a risk, and I really disrupted the industry when I ran my own school, especially the school I opened here in St. Petersburg, Florida. I felt like we needed to teach kids according to their stage of development and not teach them what was taught to middle or young adult men for the military. That's what most martial arts were. So when you teach kids, the only ones who were sticking around were the anomalies or the nerds who didn't fit in, so they stuck around with it, even though it was really hard. And I said, there's got to be a better way to teach martial arts and run a program that isn't just fun, but generates results measurably across a larger percent of children, not just a small niche.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and as we're talking, and I know we have a lot of people who listen to this show who are entrepreneurs and really wanting to, you know, up their game and find those nuggets that are really going to set them apart in their business. I think it's you know, and they have nothing to do with martial arts, but the parallels are incredible, really, that you took something that you loved and that you saw.
Yes, it's binary.
Where
So
there was a
you're
need,
right, and I'm sure you're alluding to that, or you're going to the fact that if you follow your passion and you turn it into a career, you know you live the life, the best of both worlds. So yeah, you have to do something that you're absolutely passionate about if you really want to be successful. Because you know, no matter, I can make $50 million a year, but if I don't really love my job, I don't have a successful life because I'm not doing what I love. And I don't have $50 million right now. I do well, not as well as half of my friends, but I feel like I have more success than all of them because there's not a day where I wake up and say, oh, I don't want to work, or I don't want to educate myself, or I don't want to put time into my career because it is my passion.
Right. When it doesn't feel like work, then you're winning.
Pick a job you love and you never work a day in your life.
You can have fun and you're doing your passion. And you're a life learner. And I think that's also a big key. You love to learn, and that's how you discovered these things that you're going to be sharing with us. And because you were a learner yourself.
Yes.
You weren't just.
Yes. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you. Everybody thinks that, you know, when you're working in your career, that it's 70% work and maybe 30% continuing to educate yourself. And I do it backwards. I put in 70% of my time every day educating myself, and then 30% into my work. And that means that the quality of my work is much better because I'm educating myself, and my productivity is a lot better because I'm so well educated that I have so many ideas that they just come pouring out of me based on the education that I'm receiving.
Yeah, it'd be a framework, and that base. Nice. So tell us more about then. So here you are, 19. You've started your own school. My gosh, I could just see the eyebrows raising throughout the industry on that one. I mean, it's different now, but like 20 years ago, right? That was a big deal, I bet. So here you are with your school, and you start doing things a little bit differently. And what happens, like, as you start trying new things and they start like taking off? Well, let's talk about the Little Ninjas program. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
Okay, because that's how I got to know you first, was with your Little Ninjas program that you developed, and how great it was for the little kids and really dealing, you know, the preschoolers.
Yes.
Right. And you know, I had kids, but I tried to erase those, you know, those years. I mean, as far as all the lessons that I had to learn, because, you know, then you're dealing with preteens and then teens. I just tried to stay present through all of that. But then when you're dealing with a whole classroom of preschoolers, it's like a whole other animal, you know, than just your own kids. So what did you learn, and how did you develop that program, and what happened with the whole?
Well, I was, at the time we were on the world demo team, and we traveled to South Korea, and we did a tour. It was a 12-day tour. And at one of the stops in one of the martial arts schools we went to, one of the masters asked me to teach class. And I said, sure. And, you know, everybody else didn't make eye contact, and I was the only one to make eye contact with them. So that's why I got picked. So I jumped out on the mat and realized that the kids that I was teaching were all 6 and under, which at that time we didn't teach under the age of 7 because it's not in their stage of development. They don't have good memory, don't have good balance, good control, you know, they don't have good teamwork, they don't have good discipline. So, you know, a lot of martial arts schools wanted to avoid them. So anyway, so I jumped on the mat and I said, let's do this. And I said, okay, guys, let's line up. And they didn't line up. And I said, okay, how about let's have you guys make a formation. And they still didn't do anything. And I looked over to my master and I said, do they speak English? And my master said no. And I was like, oh, this is going to be harder than I thought. But, you know, I worked at Disney, so I pulled from my experience there and my training that I got there. So what I did is I said, all right, let's set up a bunch of obstacle courses and let's just make this fun, have them follow me along. And an hour later, they're like, okay, time to stop class. And the kids were having the best time. So I was trying to entertain them to get them to follow along because I didn't speak the language, but at the same time, I was trying to educate them. So that's where edutainment came from. And then I was so motivated after that. While we were in Korea, we were at a bookstore, and I grabbed some books, some children's books, some 6 and under children's books, and some books on parenting. And we had an 18-hour flight home from Seoul to Chicago, where our layover was. And I read and studied the entire time, and I wrote out an entire curriculum for 6 and under for my school. And it came out to be the Little Ninjas. And basically what I did is I reverse engineered the program. So I said, instead of trying to teach them martial arts and hoping that they're going to build skills, I said, let me find out what they like and what they're building right now in their stage of development. And then let me just plug in martial arts into the games and activities. And Little Ninjas was born, and it ended up taking off. And that was the start of my international global career, which, you know, I got really lucky.
Yeah, well, you were propelled into, you know, because you were the expert in that age group and in that curriculum. I mean, who ever thought of like coming up with a curriculum for kids that, you know, they can't even tell them to, you know, stand in a line. I mean, so difficult to work with them. But you came up with a system that was really actually easy to implement. When I saw you work with the kids, the first time I saw you, and you had a group of your kids, I saw you working with them, I go, I've never seen preschoolers do that before. And it was really inspiring, totally inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, that was the other thing is, you know, in martial arts, a lot of us, we spend so much time perfecting our own technique and our own craft. And what I wanted to do is I really wanted to understand my customers as well my students. So I wanted to know what I should be expecting from them and what not to expect. And those things helped. You know, for example, when we work with 3 and 4-year-olds, they have a very limited vocabulary. You know, 4-year-olds have only been speaking English for 4 years. I took 4 years of Spanish, but if I went to my fluent Spanish-speaking friends' homes and had dinner with them, I wouldn't pick up the context of what they were saying, maybe just a little bit, but I wouldn't be able to keep up with the conversation. And same thing with 3 and 4-year-olds. You know, we try to say things like, hey, Johnny, come over here and demonstrate this drill. And there's 6 kids, and Johnny gets up, and all the other kids get up and follow Johnny. And you're like, no, I just said Johnny. And what happened was I realized that they didn't have that vocabulary. They just picked up the context. They just picked up, come over here, so they all came. I know you cut out for a second. But, you know, understanding little things like that, or like the kids that age, they like to mock each other. If one kid kicks and falls, then the other kids are going to kick and fall, and they're doing it as they're in a social stage of development, where most martial arts instructors would look at that like they lack discipline and, you know, they don't deserve to be in a martial arts class. And I understood that was expected. So if you're going to get any takeaway from this, it's really know your customers, or know your members, know what to expect from them and what not to expect, so that you can deliver a product that targets their needs. And then you're going to have more fun that way too, so you're not going to get so much pushback.
Right, well, and they'll have more fun, which makes them want to come to class, because isn't that what we all have a hard time with our customers, is getting them to keep coming back to you. It's keeping that retention, making sure that they're not only getting what they need in the moment, but then when they leave, they're like inspired to come back.
Exactly. And that's where another good takeaway for a business owner is, whatever your core values is for your business, or your mission statement, should be based more around them than around you. A lot of people try to base it around themselves and what they think customers want. So for example, our core value, our mission statement for our school is to create the coolest experience for every student, every class. Has nothing to do with martial arts, has nothing to do with high quality customer service, or, you know, any of these other fancy lingo. It's making sure they have a cool experience every class. So as long as they feel like this is cool, every single class, they're going to come back.
Well, what's interesting about this conversation is we're talking about, you know, the Little Ninjas and preschool and so forth, but there's so many parallels to Millennials. I can't help but go there, because really with Millennials as customers, I mean, you really have to like switch it up. Speaking of values, they have different values. They have, and I know a lot of business owners who are having them. In fact, I dedicated a whole show to it because they're having a lot of problems being able to, sell to their customers or retain those customers, when really it's because of this very same idea that they don't really know what their customers' values are or how they work or how they think or what they want, and so they can't deliver that.
Yes, I agree. I kid with millennials and I say you got to adopt 10 years for their emotional and social stage of development. So if you're 25, you're really 15, but you add 10 years for their intellectual and physical stage of development, because millennials these days are extremely smart and they're in great shape. We have all these great resources. So you're going in two opposite directions when you're approaching their stage of development, their mindset, all those things.
Well, I'm telling you, there's a market there for you to dive into, Melanie. Teach us all about how to help them, because really that's what it is. It's about servicing the customer with what it is that they want and getting out of our sort of set ways and the things that, like you say, that we like. Now, there are two schools of thought with that, right? I mean, to be doing your passion and to inspire people from what ignites you and what you love, but also being able to then deliver it in a way that can be accepted by that person. That'd be key.
Well, sure. That's the game, right? My passion is martial arts, and it's expanding. Now my passion is motivating, because martial arts, I love kicking and punching, but then I started to transform into having the passion of using martial arts as my vehicle to motivate and inspire others. And now I'm using my martial arts background and knowledge as a vehicle to inspire people in other ways. So whatever your passion is, that's just your vehicle. It's what is your purpose through that passion that is where you're going to be successful. So if your passion is to leave a legacy by being a motivator, then you follow your passion and utilize that avenue.
So I'm sorry, we're getting off of where I wanted to go, but I think this is really interesting because this whole idea of having a vehicle, this is where a lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with are having an issue, because they're not sure what vehicle to use. They know they want to help people. I want to make a difference is what they say their purpose is, but they don't have a vehicle to actually inspire with. They want to be inspiring. That's their goal. And their purpose is to help, which is awesome. All of that's great. But they're not choosing a vehicle because they're staying kind of general and too big, because they don't want to get niched into any one thing. And I think from what you're saying, it's like a really great example of you niche really heavy to begin with, and you choose and you commit to a vehicle. Like you committed to ninjas, for instance, but you didn't have to stay there, and you're not going to stay there. You've actually gone way past that, and we'll get into what you're doing with all of that, with skills and so forth. But that you went past that, and now you can even expand it more, coming from a place where you're creating those assets that you can triple down on now, instead of trying to come up with some big umbrella.
Yeah, it's always knowing what you're good at. And then as Gary Vee says, Gary Vee is my religion. People say, you're religious? Yes. I look at Gary Vee every day on my computer, and I read all of his stuff. And, he says, focus on what you're good at and then punt everything else. So your vehicle will be what you're great at, And so if you're great at public speaking or blogging or writing, focus on that and tie your passion into that. And that's the problem, is a lot of people, they have their passion, but there's so many vehicles. Maybe that's why they're not picking one particular vehicle, because they think they need to do them all, or they think they need to be great at them all, and you really don't. A great analogy that I have is when I was 19, I took a seminar with Bill Wallace, Superfoot, and he's a lefty, and so am I when it comes to fighting. And I asked Master Wallace at the time, how do I make my right leg better and become a better right leg in front fighter? He goes, why would you want to do that? And I said, because it's not good. He goes, well, you could start focusing on your right leg and less on your left leg and have two pretty good legs, or you can have one awesome leg and just focus on your left leg, which is awesome. And it did. It made me a really good fighter, and I got my butt kicked a lot, but when I won, people were cheering for me because I was so tiny. it's the same thing. We'll figure out what you're really good at and just focus on that one. You don't have to be good at everything. And then as you educate yourself, hopefully you'll develop talent in all those other areas as you move along. And then you can grow and expand. It doesn't have to be everything all at once.
Right. You were a world champion in
Forms, yes.
something in forms.
Yes, I was a technician because, I wasn't a good fighter. I tried to be a good fighter. I think the highest I got was like 3rd place in worlds in sparring. But forms was something that was my niche, being tiny and petite. And
You were only 3rd in the world? Really? Did you just say that? I was only 3rd.
But that's my mindset. I want to win. I want to be the best. And, so if I'm not the best, then it doesn't count. So, 2nd place is still good. Hey, look, you reach for the stars, and if you hit the moon, it's still okay. But you got to aim for those stars. Right?
That's awesome. Okay, so now we're on this like little timeline that's happening. So you did the ninjas and you made your big splash, and you're going all over the world, like teaching people about the preschoolers and so forth. And then what did you start learning? Because I know because you're a life learner, it started to expand. How did that happen?
Well, yeah. So because the Little Ninjas was unconventional and it targeted more, it was a skill-based training. So remember I said I reverse engineered it, and I identified the 8 skills that they were building, like focus, teamwork, control, balance, memory, discipline, fitness, and coordination. I know I said this really fast. But for each of the 8 skills, I plugged in martial arts. But I played games around each skill, and that's how they learned. So they come in on balance day, and all they did was play balance games, and then they had a balance requirement. If they passed it, they collected their stripe, and their goal was to collect all the stripes, and then they got their new belt. And then it got a little bit harder and harder. So, for example, in Little Ninjas at white belt, they had to do 5 kicks without putting their foot down at white belt. That's average for their stage of development. But by the time they graduated, 90 weeks later, they're doing 50 kicks without putting their foot down, which is putting them in the top 5% of their stage of development. So when I was teaching this program, it was working so well that martial arts school owners said their Little Ninja graduates were coming into the regular martial arts program better than the older kids. And this was interesting because at the time, NATMA did this study that said, where was the largest dropout age and rank? And it was mid-level, and it was the older kids because it was getting too hard or too easy. And the younger kids were quitting at mid-level because it was getting too hard. But here we had these younger kids that were better than the older kids. So it was disrupting the way martial arts worked. So coming full circle, what I did is I wrote a program for 7 and 9-year-olds, just like Little Ninjas. And then I wrote a program for 10 to 14-year-olds, just like that. And it evolved into being what's called skills. So it's a reverse training concept in martial arts, where instead of trying to teach martial arts and plug in martial arts in and hope they build skills, it does the opposite. We teach them skills at the stage of development, and then we plug martial arts in as, one of the vehicles to teach them how to develop these skills, help them grow as a whole.
Wow. It sounds so like, duh, of course. Right?
Yes. It's hard to teach a little dog new tricks, right? So when I tell people this theory, they're like, oh, it's great. And then they're like, let's try it. And they're like, no, I don't want to change what I'm doing right now. People are afraid of change,
Well, because they have to learn something new. And then not only learn it themselves, but then turn around and teach it, which of course is the best way of learning anything, but that's another show probably.
A whole other show, because we cracked that code, but I can go into that in another show.
Yeah, so it sounds simple, as most, inventions do. That's like, well, of course, how was that not being done before? But martial arts has, always been a very traditional medium, or a room, essentially. The dojo has been so traditional in the way that they've been teaching. To introduce some of these things has been big. So I really appreciate that you've been able to do that. And because of your success with ninjas, people were able to listen and embrace it more.
Well, for the millennials who are listening on, I'm sure you're going to take a lot from this. It's basically my mindset. If it's not disrupting your industry, it's not something that's going to have long-term success. It's not going to become something successful. If you're always borrowing ideas from everybody else, you're going to have limited results. If you have that entrepreneurial spirit and you want to do your own thing, it's got to disrupt what's going on right now. It's got to be something totally different. You can't mock somebody else. You got to do your own thing.
I like that. We're disruptors. Okay, we're going to talk more about that after we take a quick little break here.
Kick up your life. We'll be right back with Master Mel right after this. Are you too busy to eat clean? Do you need to boost your energy, tone your body, and burn fat? Then it's time to treat yourself to the cleanest, high-quality protein supplement available. Introducing Whey Clean. Whey Clean is a completely natural, non-denatured, and bioactive protein from the milk of grass-fed cows raised by the Amish, the old-fashioned way. No pesticides, hormones, gluten, soy, or GMOs. Want to know if your protein is clean? Read the label. How many ingredients? Are they all real? Can you even pronounce them? Whey Clean uses only 4 of the highest quality real food ingredients available and leaves out all the fillers, thickeners, additives, and sweeteners the other guys use. Don't compromise. You deserve the best. Go to cleancut.com. That's clean, K-U-T.com. And get yours today so that you can eat clean and live happy.
Cool. Well, we were talking using what we have as our vehicle to sort of niche into what it is that we love to do, but then figuring out how we can best serve that to the people who are our audience. And so now that you're moving into, skills, and well, actually you've already done this for how many years now? How long has skills been around?
Skills has been around, it'll be 4 years in December.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's growing to 300 schools this year, which is fantastic. I'm so excited to hear that. Are you planning on expanding that concept further?
Yes.
Or are you actually, tell us.
Sorry. Yeah, Skills is in the process of merging into the fitness market. And that's going to be just a great new element to tackle. And then we're also working with basketball, soccer, and golf. So those sports simultaneously, because skills is a universal concept. It applies to children in every sport, because really the goal is to help them grow in their stage of development as a whole. And then we just plug in whatever your sport is. So for skills in the martial arts, we plug in kicking, punching, and blocking. So for, soccer, we punch in, kicking, passing, things like that. And, golf, we'll do pitching, chipping, and driving, and all that good stuff.
Are you a golfer?
I actually just picked up golf a year ago, and I absolutely love it. And it was my religion for up until June, when it started getting really hot outside. So I am on break. I'm hibernating until the weather's a little bit better. At the end of September, I'll get back into it.
Cool. So I didn't know that. Golf. Okay, golf, soccer, and what was the other one?
Basketball.
Basketball. Oh, okay. What's your in with basketball?
One of my really good friends who has 2 kids that are black belts at my school, they're also really big into basketball as well. And his kids have a YouTube page called 527 Hoops. And I got to give you a plug there, Chris McCain and the McCain family. And they do all these really fun drills all the time. And we were talking one day, and I said, man, I could see skills, being able to be incorporated in the basketball industry by doing the same concept. It's all game-based learning drills, which is where Rangers originated. And, where we have kicking and punching, we'll just, plug in dribbling and shooting and passing and all these different things. So it's going to be fun to integrate skills into these other sports and activities.
Cool. So how are you going to have time to do this? I mean, the list of sports is kind of endless.
I don't. I hustle a lot, but I'm going to hire really fast moving into the beginning of the year, especially now that I'm selling the school. We'll have a little bit of extra cash flow to invest in skills in these markets. So if you're interested, if you're an expert in any of these sports, make sure you reach out to me.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll make sure that everyone has your contact information when we finish here today. So then you were talking about your personal brand. What are you doing with that?
Well, one of the things that I've been doing on the side is I'm doing coaching for other businesses. And, I have a friend who owns a successful fitness facility called Strength Camp here in St. Petersburg. And they have over 1 million YouTube followers with their Strength Camp on YouTube. and they want to transform Strength Camp into an organization very similar to what Skills does, where we provide all of the turnkey material and we give you the license to use our brand. And then eventually he wants to move into franchising. So I'm going to start to just penetrate into other markets as far as, helping people get through all the hustle and bustle that I had to do, especially being in an adverse industry like the martial arts, being a young female in the martial arts industry. And then the other brand that I want to get into is I really want to start reaching out to the parents and teachers and coaches, because a lot of the same tactics that I use in my instructor certifications in the martial arts apply to parents, teachers, and coaches. As a matter of fact, it wasn't me that decided to do this. It was my members, my customers. Every seminar, I have a parent come up with tears in their eyes and say, man, when you start talking about their stage of development and this is expected, these are things that I was yelling at my child for. And now I realize that it's common for the stage of development. So I feel like I was doing it wrong and I want to do over and I need to hug my kid when I get home. Or I have teachers come and say, man, what you were saying is spot on, but I never really was taught that in school. I was just taught, all the fundamentals, but not really the science and psychology and neuroscience behind children and how they learn and grow. So that's a whole other area that I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
But really, that's amazing. That is so needed. As you know, I work with a lot of people who want to get in shape and want to lose weight and that kind of thing. So, sort of the same idea in that we always have to go back a few steps. Like, yeah, we can deal with the symptom of things and I can give you the right exercises or the right nutrition or whatever, but that actually still doesn't address the whole psychology. It doesn't address like where you're at emotionally, all of these other aspects that are as big, if not bigger, than what it is that they're coming in for. So I can only imagine how this relates to like with parenting. And now you're a parent after how old is he now?
21 months. It's the perfect age. I would freeze him right now and keep him there.
So with all this knowledge you have about neuroscience and age development, how has it been like with your own kid? I'd be curious to know.
Man, I tell you what, it's making me more patient, understanding, and more passionate as a parent. Like I want to put in the work, and when he has these symptoms that maybe some parents would get stressed out about, I try to find a solution to it. And that kind of goes into like my brand, because if you can't Google it, then there's a market for it, right? So there's times where he'll have a certain attitude or behavior, and I'll Google it and I won't get a consistent answer on, what to do. So I'm figuring out the answers, and it's working out great because he's 21 months old and he's swimming. He just on Monday, he dove underwater and fetched the dolphin and brought it back up. And he's doing martial arts on mini skills on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He plays the guitar. He plays the drums. He's got so many different talents right now. And it's because of all my experience that I have working with children that I'm putting in the work to help him excel at all these different areas of passion. He won't play with a toy. He won't watch cartoons. He won't watch a movie. He's very active, which is really neat.
Wow. So I see a preschool, no, not preschool, a toddler skills program.
Yes, just launched it last week. It's called Mini Skills. So,
there you go.
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was clairvoyant there.
Yeah, so when he was 18 months old, I was trying to get him involved in activities, and I couldn't find anything for him. I take that back. There were things, but nothing that was helping him grow in his stage of development. It's more like, hang on, play with this musical instrument, or hey, let's go play on these tumble things. And I said, all right, then I'm going to write my own for my son. So I wrote it, and he's kind of my guinea pig. It's not perfect. Let's just put it this way. Jill took him to class this morning, and she said there was 4 kids, and they all went every other direction. They come back in and do one of the activities, but then run around the mat. So we still got a long way to go, but you got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, and like you say, you got your own guinea pig, so you can check it out.
And guinea pig, if I'm the guinea pig or if he's the guinea pig.
Well, that's an investment that can't help but pay off in the long run, for sure, with it being your own child and you caring that much more about how that all turns out. So that's cool. So that your regular skills program starts at age 4?
No, it starts, we have a toddler program, so the 18 months to 36 months, and then 3 and 4-year-olds, which are your preschoolers.
Yeah, that's your new toddler program goes up until 3,
Yes.
and then that's the regular program.
Then they go into the preschool program, which is 3 and 4.
Okay. So people are hiring you now to consult on whatever their business is, because it doesn't really matter, because it's the same idea that we all have different levels of, different stages of development, even if we're adults. Would that be true?
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm a life coach because everybody's a life coach, right? Or a business consultant.
Yeah, I hate that term.
Yeah,
myself.
yeah. It's just what happened is I have a lot of friends who are businesses, and they're always calling me and texting me and emailing me, and I give them advice. And this one guy, he was kind of a friend of a friend, and he kept emailing me, and I was like, look, dude, if we're going to move forward, let's structure this out and make it an actual program for you. And of course, there's going to be a high cost involved. And he said, let's do it. And we're working on it right now, and he's in his 3rd month, and he's killing it. So, but a lot of it's really targeting the stage of development that you're in when you're trying to launch a new business. So that's really where my expertise is actually launching a business. And then, of course, it'll be out of my area when it comes down to making it fiscally successful down the road, because there's so many people who do that much better than me.
Yeah. So do you mind taking us through what you do with a client, and maybe for those people who are really working on their business and trying to develop and become their own little disruptor?
Yeah, what I do is, it's not like step 1, set up your Facebook page, and step 2, set up your Twitter page, which, are part of it. But it's actually, I have 10 different philosophies that we work through, and I talk to them on my first appointment, and I scale them on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being a strength, 1 being an area where they need most improvement on my 10 philosophies. And the ones that they score really low on are the ones that, I kind of coach them on, and the ones that they score really high on, those are the ones that they want to really focus and really spend a lot of their time on, because those are their strengths. So yeah, that's how the system works.
Okay, so you're again tripling down on finding out what people are good at and then expanding that.
Yes.
And if we could take anything away from, you started this show with that. We're back at it again. I think that's a big takeaway from this conversation, really, is that if we work towards our strengths. I work with strengths so much. This is I'm completely surrounded by strength stuff, because I also, with working with staff, trying to pull out their strengths and enhance those and make those better, rather than trying to make them do things that they're not good at and never will be good at, and so that they hate their job. I gave up doing that. How to work with staff.
Yes, yeah. So when we do our team meetings, it's not like I sit down and I say, okay, Stephanie, you're going to do this, Clayton, you're going to do that, Andrew, you're going to do that. My job as a CEO, the first thing is to discover new ideas and then delegate them to the right person. So, for example, when we launched our parent Facebook group, I said, who wants to be in charge of doing the daily video posts in the Facebook group? Who do we think would do best at it? And Clayton, who's my 20-year-old, is extremely good looking and extremely charismatic. We delegated him to that. And then our regular boosted posts and informational posts, Stephanie's a great writer, so she's in charge of that. And Andrew's more behind the scenes kind of guy. He's very good at managing things, and he's a hustler, which is important. So he'll work until 3 o'clock in the morning, and he likes to do it. So things that involve hustling, we assign to him. So when we do our meetings, it's more brainstorming, where can you contribute the most to our business? Here are the things that we need to do. And then them picking, what they want to contribute.
Oh, I love that. So what do you do when, or I know what some of my listeners are saying right now, what if you don't have a team and you don't have people that have strength that can jump in and do the things? Like, I work with some entrepreneurs that, let's say, they don't have any technical skills at all. That's not their strengths whatsoever. And so they feel like, oh, I can't move forward until I learn all this stuff. So I can't really afford to hire anyone. What do you say to someone like
Then
that?
you have to hustle. You have to do the work. You have to put in the effort, and you have to learn how to do it. There's a really good place where you can learn so many great things. And I'll give you the web address right now. It's www.google.com, and you put in the work. And then as you develop business and you grow, then you reinvest into your business and hire people that way. The things you're not good at, you outsource. And when I launched Skills, I didn't have any money to launch Skills. I just had a martial arts school in St. Petersburg, and it was very expensive to build a software platform. Our platform has 1,000 pages. And in order for me to hire somebody to do it, if I was going to hire somebody in the U.S., it would cost me anywhere between $50,000 to $70,000 to hire a programmer. And I don't believe in outsourcing overseas. So I went to a parent of mine who was a tech guy. And he's my tech ninja. You met him at the Super Show, Jeff Sperry. And I said, listen, I'll give you 1% of my company. So you're not going to make any money up front, but you're going to make money down the road. And he had another job, which was a night job. He worked IT security overnight. So during the day, he was building skills, and at night he was working his tech job. And last year he was able to quit his job and work for me full time. But it took compromising 1% of my company, which I'm absolutely happy to do. So going back, if you don't have a team and you don't have any money, then you got to do the work and you got to do the hustle. And then when you start making money, you have to take that money and not buy a fancy car and not go to a fancy dinner or buy a fancy home. You have to take that money and hire somebody so that you can think long-term on where that's going to get you. And a lot of people get stuck there. They start making some good money, they buy a nice home, they buy a nice car, and then they're stuck in debt, and then they start having a family, and then you have to hustle more. So you got to be really, really savvy when it comes to knowing where your money needs to go, where your time needs to go. And as you make money, the things that you're not good at or the things you don't know, you get to hire somebody to do this for you.
Okay, so you just blew my mind because no, really, now you are like coaching. But these are things that, speaking of which, because we were talking earlier about you're teaching skills to kids, for instance, that they're not learning in school. They're not learning in their regular sports programs. You're going back to the fundamentals of things so that they get better at those activities. But this is what you're talking about right now is the same thing. It's a financial, not advice, but financial principles of which that are not taught to people. It's not even encouraged by our culture to not just put it on the credit card or to, and another thing I see a lot in this industry is people looking to the guru, right? And going, oh, let me just pay you to tell me how to do it. And then I don't actually have to do the work. Right? How do you see it?
I was one of them. That was me. That was me for a while. I tried to pay somebody. It didn't work. It cost me a lot of money and set me back a couple of years.
We've all done it. I'm not talking about other people either. Right? It's like, in fact, someone actually called me on it. A friend of mine called me on it one time. And she goes, I was complaining about someone I had that was running my school, and she said, "You've got the Messiah syndrome." I went, "What? What are you talking about?" You're waiting for the Messiah to come and save you and save your business. I'm like, oh, dang it!
Yes, that's one of my 10 strategies when I work with my coaching students is how what's your, on a scale of 1 to 5, do you wait for it or do you go for it? And, based on a couple of simple key trigger questions I ask them, I can tell if they just kind of wait for things to happen or they actually make things happen. You hear that, have you heard that slang lately, GSD?
No.
Hashtag GSD. It's on Facebook. A lot of people say it. And it's get stuff done. A lot of people replace that middle word with the first word. I don't like person. But GSD means get stuff done. And I look at that, and yeah, you're supposed to get stuff done every day, but my keyword is MSH, which is make stuff happen. So instead of just getting stuff done, I actually make things happen. And it's a big, different mindset. A lot of people every day, they grind, and think as long as they get stuff done, then good things are going to happen. And it doesn't work that way. You have to make stuff happen. So it's a very different mindset and a very different approach.
Well, before we got on the air today, you and I were talking about vacations. and how do you create that space where you're making stuff happen? Because you're a total doer. I mean, really, you make stuff happen. And then how do you balance that with having a family and having time with your friends and taking those vacations and so forth? How do you give us a little picture of how we could do that for ourselves?
My number one philosophy is family first. And this is why I love Gary Vee, because when I looked at his bio, I looked at one of his, about him on Instagram, it said family first. And I was like, that's my philosophy. So family has to be first. When you're planning your calendar, your yearly calendar, you have to make sure that you're putting in enough time with them, because it helps you recharge. So you have to treat it almost like it's a job too. And, I have a 21-month-old son. I spend a lot of time with him every single day. So it's kind of part of my career responsibility. If I don't take care of my family, I have nothing that's driving me. So that's an important thing. And then my number two philosophy is to be selfish. And what I mean by be selfish is you have to take care of you. So if you're always stressed out, you're always working really hard, and you're not motivated, and you're not in a good mood, then you're not going to be as productive as you can be, and you're not going to be as useful to the people that are counting on you. So you have to be selfish with your own mood and your own mindset. So I take a lot of vacations. We talked about Jill and I. When we go to vacations, we don't go to like the Bahamas or like Europe, like you talked about. We go to concerts. We just went to 21 Pilots in Vegas in July. Last year we went to Austin City Lemons Festival. We're going to see Adele in Nashville, because those types of things inspire me. So it's a way to, yes, take a break from my work and spend time with my partner, but I also get motivated and re-inspired. And when I come back, my productivity is even better. So you got to think about those things are actually help your productivity versus hinder your productivity.
Cool. Put it on the calendar.
That's right.
Let's do it. Make it happen.
Make it happen. Yes. Make stuff happen.
I know I changed it. All right. Thank you so much, Melodee. You gave us so many great things, regardless of what business we're in, what it is we're doing with our life. We all want to make a difference, and you're doing it in what you're doing. And each person listening to this has a purpose, some kind of service to others. And I hope they picked up some really good life tips, financial tips, and learning tips so that they can do that better out there in the world. So thanks for helping us kick it up today. And thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you again next week with another high achiever. And until then, take care.
Thanks for listening to Kick Up Your Life with Master Mel. Each week, learn how to optimize your business and your life with Master Melodee Meyer as she speaks with thought leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and high achievers to discover their secrets of success. Kick Up Your Life with Master Mel every week right here on Radio Star Worldwide.